Hello, YouTube. We are back with another class guide, and today we're going to quickly look at the Hunter. The Hunter is getting a rework here very soon, and when that comes out, we will do a focus around the rework. But the Hunter's been another class that has been requested, so here it is. And luckily, it is pretty straightforward, honestly. So, starting off with the virtues. I tried to get away with doing determination just as a test. Not worth it. it's still not worth it. You're gonna need the standard 5: fidelity, loyalty, justice, honor, fortitude. If your mitigations are not up there, then you will need tolerance. So keep that in mind. I'm in full crafted gear. The only thing I'm really kind of missing is a decent pocket item and probably a better cloak and offhand. But yeah, it's a little bit tricky right now. But yeah, so as always, those are the virtues, and they'll be the same for all the hunter specs. All right, let's start with yellow. Quickly here. So this was recommended by a friend of mine. This is kind of what they do in raid scenarios. They did it in raid scenarios in Moria, and it was fun. It was really good. I personally haven't messed around with it, but this is just a recommendation from a friend. And the whole idea is you're just placing traps and getting all these debuffs. Targets are going to take more fire damage. You're reducing mitigations and resistances and all this fun stuff, which is why it can excel in raid, and it can have a little bit more value than, let's say, redline in a raid scenario, depending on your raid composition. If you're the only range DPS, or it's like or it's just hunters, for example, then I wouldn't go yellow line. I would go red line. Yellow line is more of a thing where it helps out rune keepers, lore masters, and kind of the melee DPS, but it helps out fire damage and tactical kind of stuff a little bit more. So yeah, that is yellow line, and then red line, this is the setup that I would use at 65. Basically, what we're gaining here is, well, because Upshot was buffed during Moria, we can now use Upshot, and it's decent. It still needs the legacy or the tracery to actually be worth it. There's a couple of scenarios where still spamming 3 penetrating shots, if 2 of them crit, you're technically doing more damage than a 9 focus Upshot in most scenarios. If Upshot crits, you then need to crit all 3 penetrating shots for the damage, for penetrating shot to be more in most scenarios. So it's just something to consider. At least that was from the testing that I did. Otherwise, the rest of the points I'm just putting into strong draw right now, because damage for bow skills that consume focus, strong draw is really good. But of course, this is all going to change once the rework happens. I believe this strength stance trait is going away or is being moved. Upshot's being changed. The Heartseeker stuff is being changed. Fast draw, I think, is being removed. And the Swift and True stuff is also being changed, if I remember. They're moving a bunch of stuff around. So we'll have to see how it goes. Not going to talk about blue line. Blue line is great for leveling, but it is not. It is worse than red in dungeon scenarios, and it is much worse than red and yellow in raid scenarios right now. But it's great for leveling because you can kite the wraiths and stuff like that, and you're basically just getting the bleed damage, Heartseeker stuff, rapid draw, precision stance, range damage, and all that kind of stuff. You just run out of
power too quickly for there to be much use of it in a dungeon scenario, and you're also, and in a raid scenario, you can, yes, you can have a lore master give you power in your when you're in blue right now, but you're gonna do a little bit more damage in red anyways. And speaking of power, if you find that you're running out of power a lot, you can take away a point from strong draw, or from, so if you take a point away from strong draw, you can put a point into Bow of the Righteous, and then like mercy kill, or you can just remove 1 point from fast draw and put it into Bow of the Righteous. Either or, if you find that you're running out of power a lot. Alrighty, looking at legendaries, which is very simple because it'll be the same. Excuse me, it'll be the same for all 3 specs. So you're going to have focus bow critical multiplier, induction bow damage, induction bow critical multiplier, and then from there it's kind of a little bit of a personal choice. Some people like precision stance more. Some people like strength stance more. So that could be one of those. Could be your 4th one. I'm personally more into strength stance, so I like strength stance better. That's kind of what I would recommend. But there are the people that like the whole crit related things with precision stance. However, once again, all of this could change once the rework happens, so keep that in mind. I don't think investing into strength stance damage won't be a bad choice, even after the rework. Precision stance might not be great after the rework. That's kind of still up in the air from my understanding, unless things have changed recently, which could have been the case. Otherwise, quick shot has always been a safe thing to pick, just because even in, doesn't matter your spec, you're spamming quick shot a lot, so quick shot damage also actually isn't totally terrible. So yeah, you gotta have focus bow, induction bow, and induction bow crit. Those 3 are the must-have. The 4th one you can kind of play around with and see what you like. But this rework coming could change the game drastically, but we'll have to see. All right, moving on to gear. All right, this is the same for all 3 specs. Doesn't matter which one you're playing. Nice and easy. So, of course, once you've acquired your crafting gear and you can start doing, and your virtues are better than mine, you can start doing some tier 2 dungeons. Sammoth Ghoul, SG, you're really just looking for the ring. Dungeons, you're looking for this earring. These will just help with your tactical mitigation and vitality, giving you a lot more morale so that you can go into raid. From sword halls, there is a decent cloak that drops. There's also an offhand that can drop in tier 1, which is just really nice if you need a quick, easy offhand option. There's also a couple of offhand drops from Borg pins that are also from tier 1. Just some nice agility and crit and a little bit of vitality. There's also a cloak that is more defensive focused, but it does still have some crit, so it's not terrible. Tier 2, there's a very nice wrist. 40 agility is really good. That's a lot of crit, and it still has the 28 vitality. Once you have a bit of gear and you're looking to raid Barad, Guldur, or BG, this is what you're looking for. This is where your range damage neck comes from. There was one from Halls of Crafting, I think, in Moria, so this is very similar. It comes from the BG raid. This is probably your best offhand, next to one that comes from OD, which we'll look at shortly. But this will be essentially your best / second best offhand that you can get. Great ring and another great wrist. Moving on to the In Their Absence, or the OD cluster. Lost Temple, you have a very nice defensive focused bracelet. So it's got a little bit more morale and tactical mitigation. Yes, it has some block rating. You use block rating, but doesn't matter. The fact that it has morale and tactical mitigation with a decent bit of agility is really good. There's also a really nice offensive focused earring. I think this is probably your best pocket item that you're going to get. The keyring that comes from SS. Sadly, all this stuff does come from tier 2, so have fun with that. Those dungeons are not easy by any means. Stone height. This is some great gear you can get really easily because stone height tier 2 is one of the easier 3-mans. I would say it's easier than North Cotton Farms, and luckily you don't need anything from North Cotton Farms. So stone height has this ring and this bracelet. Or, sorry, no, these are both rings. Both of these can drop from the first boss in stone height. So you do not even need to complete all of stone height to get these 2 drops, because the third boss is a challenge, but the first 2 bosses are a breeze. So the fact that you can farm for these 2 as a hunter on the first boss is really great. So good source of jewelry right there. Then once you've acquired all the gear that you can possibly get and you've tortured yourself through the 3-mans and 6-mans, this is the loot that you can look for in the raid. This purple wrist does drop from tier 1 in the wound wing, which is the first wing that you do in the raid. This is a decent bracelet. It's not bad. It's not a lot of vitality, but it does have a decent amount of agility, so it could be an upgrade for you. Otherwise, the rest of the stuff is tier 2. These 2 rings here that are more heavy on vitality, but they still give you some crit. The tactical mastery is there, but really the vitality and crit is really good. Those 2 come from I think they come from the 3rd wing. Yeah, they come from the disease, the trees. They come from the trees in tier 2. And then the sparkling bracelet, which also, again, just lots of crit, lots of agility. That comes from the giant wing. And then this weapon here is the best offhand you can get. And it will come from Gorthron tier 2. And it is just a great offhand. But this one, of course, much harder to get than this offhand here, which is why I recommended this one. As all of this loot can drop from any boss on tier 2, maybe even tier 1 in BG. So that's just nice. And yeah, that will conclude the gear and this guide. So hopefully you found this helpful. Once again, once the Hunter rework comes through, we will discuss that. Next on the list will probably be either Runekeeper or Warden, which will once again be at a higher level, just to get those videos out for you guys faster rather than me leveling up another character to 65. And once we should be getting Isengard here soon. Isengard should come out in theory in August. So we'll have to see. We got about a month left of this content, and we'll have to see how Isengard goes. But yeah, thanks for coming, and hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, leave a comment. If you have questions about anything at all, whether it's this Hunter or another class, or anything about the game in general, please leave a comment, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.